Hello and welcome to another very special episode of Clutchcast. I'm Matt Schroyer and I'm here with my good friend and project car, the BMW Z3 Roadster. Happy 2019. Hope your 2019 is off to a great start. With the new year comes a lot of improvements I want to do to the Roadster and also ticking off a lot of the maintenance items. Already taken care of a lot of the suspension on the back end and the brakes on this car, and I want to tackle a couple things that are very important. One is do some more suspension work on the car, but more important than that is to actually refresh the entire coolant system. On BMWs of this type, this one has the M52 TU engine. You want to refresh the coolant system at least every 100,000 miles or 10 years, whichever comes first. I actually don't know the last time that this car had the coolant system refreshed. What that typically involves is a new water pump, new pipes all around, and a new radiator and thermostat. And I just got a box of brand new parts that came in to help me accomplish this goal. So I'll go ahead and open that box and show you what's inside, and that'll indicate something about what this job involves. Alright, I got my box of car parts here from FCP Euro, and just a whole bunch of coolant stuff in there right next to the good old trusty Fiat 500e electric. That's been a great car. I hope to have a review on the second year of ownership of this car in the near future as sort of a side project, but this is pretty much everything that you would need to refresh the coolant system on a M52 TU engine. So let's see what we got here. Number one, and probably pretty important on the list of items, is a new set of gaskets for the intake. Now, why would you need this particular part? Well, it turns out that to actually access all of the pipes, all of the coolant pipes on the engine, you do have to remove that intake. And that's actually one of the more difficult parts of this whole entire coolant refresh on this BMW engine. And as a part of that, you always want to replace these gaskets here. So new rubber gaskets, that's very nice. Alright, so this is part of it. This is one of the plastic coolant pipes manufactured by Febi. This is a Febi pipe. You can buy original or buy BMW official parts, but at this age of car, your best option really is to save just a little bit of cash and go ahead and go with OEM or OE. The key thing is that you want the quality to be there. You want the quality of the materials, the plastics to be very high. This one looks to be pretty decent. Again, it is a plastic coolant pipe. And this is actually one of the big reasons why you have to refresh the entire system, right? So if the entire system was just composed of rubber hoses, the refresh might be a little bit different, because rubber hoses can last a long time, but unfortunately there are a number of plastic pipes in the coolant system of these BMWs, which is a bit of a weak spot. And they're really the biggest reason why you want to replace the entire coolant system after about 100,000 miles. These plastic pipes tend to get very brittle with all the heat cycles that go through them. There really isn't another option out there. You can't really upgrade these hoses to anything but another plastic hose. You just have to be vigilant, but the good news is that if you do this on a regular basis, it shouldn't ever become a problem on the car. In fact, a lot of cars that are racing on tracks, BMW cars that are racing on tracks, still use the plastic pipes. Again, you just have to be vigilant and replace them more often than usual. So this is just one of the pipes. Let's see what we have in the rest of the box. I'm not going to go through everything in here, but here's another plastic pipe. Kind of the lore on the forums for these engines, that once you actually take the intake manifold off and have access to this pipe and try to remove it, it will pretty much snap at the ends, at the end that attaches to the block, or the head rather. So you have to be ready for that, and you have to have a replacement ready. This one actually is stamped BMW. This is a BMW part I purchased, apparently. There it is, if I focus correctly. See the part number on there, 17052100. You can track that down on Real OEM and see what it actually looks like in the diagrams, but there we go, another plastic pipe to replace. So we've got some hoses here. This is a hose that goes to the coolant reservoir. Some of the regular pipes. This is a Rhine automotive pipe. Looks to be pretty good quality. Whole bunch of other Rhine parts here. And gaskets and pipes and gaskets and clamps, adjustable clamps. Aha! Okay, so this is a rather big deal. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. This is a Stewart brand racing water pump for the BMW M52 that's in this car. And at least on the side of the package, it claims to have more flow, can pump more water through the coolant system. Let's go ahead and open that up and see why it's such a big deal. Ooh, all right, shiny. This is a Stewart high-performance water pump. All metal, as you can see. Nice ball bearings. Very nice. Just a very, very nice, high-quality part. Has some heft to it. Has some weight to it, which is great. So that's a nice part. Now, why would you upgrade to this? This is basically twice the cost of a standard BMW water pump that would go in this car. So, you know, why upgrade to this Stewart water pump? Is that overkill? Some people might say it is overkill, especially since the BMW water pump lasts so long. And also, when you get this part, some people, at least some people in the forums, have had their water pumps fail with issues with the bearings. The ball bearings go out on some types, or at least some batches. That creates extra hassle. So why would you do this? Well, it flows a little bit better. I'm hoping it would last a little bit longer. And if it does ever develop issues with the ball bearings in the Stewart water pump, again, I bought it from FCP Euro, which has a lifetime warranty on everything they sell, including this. So if this were ever to break, I could take this in and get a very nice, sturdy replacement for it. So basically bought it with a lifetime warranty, which is a fantastic way to go about buying these types of high-performance water pumps. Basically, it's for peace of mind, right? You don't want your BMW water pump to crap out. It's part of the normal refresh process to include a fresh water pump, which is another reason it's a good time to update that. Now, if you're not going to go with something super high grade like this Stewart water pump, my suggestion would be to go with the OEM BMW water pump, and do not get one that has the metal impellers. This one does have metal impellers. They are very substantial. They have some heft to them. They will not break or crack. I've never seen anyone with this kind of water pump have that kind of difficulty. But on the cheaper water pumps that use a metal impeller, that is a weak point. Those can corrode, snap, break off into your coolant system and cause a whole bunch of problems. So either go with one that has the composite impeller, the plastic composite impeller, or go full bore with the Stewart water pump. Again, full-time, lifetime warranty from FCP Euro on this. So nice little upgrade to the coolant system. Let's see what else we got. Okay, what did I oh, a thermostat. Oh, yeah, it says right on the side. This is a standard thermostat for the engine. Very nice. All right. I have seen, for sale on the market, thermostats for this car that have an aluminum housing that you can purchase. I've heard mixed reviews on that, namely because the fit between the aluminum housing and the engine block is not great. Can leak sometimes. And so I just, I don't want to put up with that. Just do it right. Get a nice, plastic OEM thermostat and be done with it. Never caused any problem for anyone else. I don't see why it would cause a problem for me. Let's see what's in here. Hey, a belt. All right. So this is a water pump belt. Just standard. I mean, nothing special about that, but I mean, I'm replacing everything else as part of the coolant refresh. While you're in there, take care of that, right? And one last box here to go through, show you what's inside. Hey, coolant reservoir. Coolant reservoir. Again, another item that you should replace because this is plastic and it goes through a lot of intense heat cycles and that causes it to fracture given enough time. So again, just replace the entire system. Just do it all. Get it done with. Alright, so that's it for the Coolant Refresh box. There are a couple of other very important things that are not in that box that you need as part of a coolant system refresh, including, very importantly, the radiator. I'm saving that for very last. I don't need it immediately, so I'll let you know when it comes in. And in the meantime, I'm going to start on actually doing the teardown and taking that intake manifold off to actually get to the pipes and do the refresh. Then I'll order the radiator and that'll come in and we'll install that, and I'll have a video of that up when it happens. There is another box unrelated to coolant system refresh that I have here. Something pretty important for the suspension system that I've been holding off for some time. I'll go ahead and unbox that for you. Alright, here's the box for it. You could probably already guess what it is. It's either springs, coilovers, or any number of these things. These are H&R lowering springs. Move this aside. See what we got. Nice red color. So the way this works on the car is the rear springs are supposed to lower the ride height in the rear about 1 1/4 inch, and the front springs here and here, bigger springs, are supposed to lower the front 1 1/2 inches. Now, a while ago, I replaced all the struts and shocks in the car with Koni yellow adjustable sport shocks and struts. And at the time, I actually went and got brand new springs for all the corners of the car, front and rear, just to make sure, that I had all the parts available so I could actually assemble the strut system outside of the car and just pop it back into place. It sounds pretty good, right? Well, there's actually a little bit of difficulty if you're doing it that way on this car with the Koni sport suspension in the front. So basically, alright, if I get a good look here, again, these are brand new, or relatively new springs. They've only been on the car for maybe 3,000 miles. And the problem with installing these or assembling this structure here is that, well, you always have to compress the spring to actually get it to fit on top of the strut here. That is very dangerous, right? So I took this strut and I took the new spring and the rest of the hardware up there is brand new hardware. I took that to a professional so that they could put all it on their professional industrial grade spring compressor and do it safely, right? Because you can do this in your backyard with those, fiddly spring compressors that you can loan from AutoZone, and, come with 2, and it attaches, and then, you torque it down by hand. That's very dangerous. And on this system in particular, extremely dangerous because it requires a whole bunch of force to actually get that spring to compress. The stock spring on this is quite large compared to, or quite tall, compared to the length of the strut. The length of the strut is considerably shorter than the stock strut that you would get for this car. So, stock spring, aftermarket strut, you have to compress that spring way down. That takes a lot of force, and even when I took it to a pro who had all the professional tools to do this, it took a couple, 3 mechanics to actually wrestle this thing and to get the spring to compress. Now, given that we're moving to aftermarket springs, we probably won't have the same sort of assembly problem, right? Because the aftermarket spring is going to be shorter. It's going to fit on these struts a little better, and these struts are actually designed for aftermarket springs. They're designed for lowering springs. So assembly shouldn't be as difficult, but one still has to disassemble this, apply force to compress the spring once again to be able to disassemble it and take the spring off, which means going back to a shop to have that professionally disassembled and reassembled again. So I'm not messing with this in my backyard. This is a serious thing. You could hurt or kill yourself on the front of this car with this front strut assembly. So that'll have to be done by a professional mechanic. The rear springs, however, can easily be done even without spring compressors, right? So these are new as well, these rear springs, and all you have to do is lower the trailing arm a little bit, and they will in fact pop out. And since the aftermarket H&R springs, again, will be shorter since they're aftermarket lowering springs, reassembly should be an easy job. So, I mean, this might require spring compressors, but you can definitely lower the system, lower these trailing arms to get that to pop out. So, not too worried about the rear. Again, the front need professional help. So yeah, if I were to do the entire front suspension all over again, you know, I might do coilovers, but I'm not really a hardcore track-focused guy, so I think coilovers are kind of overkill, which is why I went with the Koni adjustable sport suspension. And if you're going that route, instead of buying stock springs like I did, you probably just want to go ahead and go with these lowering springs, right? The reason why I didn't do that in the first place is because I didn't know what the ride will be like, right? I didn't want to go full bore, drop the car 1.5 inches, and do all this work and find out that it rattled the fillings out of my teeth, you know? But now that I've been on the sport struts and shocks for a while, I'm ready to go ahead and dip my toes in and lower the car about 1.5 inches and see how that goes. So I'll have a whole video about after installing these, what the ride is like. Can I still drive it on the street? Does it add any benefit in high-performance situations? We'll find out later. For now, though, if you have a 2000 BMW Z3 Roadster or another BMW Z3 Roadster, something very important to keep in mind when buying these is H&R makes springs not only for the 6-cylinder Z3s, they also make lowering springs for the 1.9 liters. And the 1.9 liter BMW Z3 uses slightly different springs, slightly different specifications of springs, and so H&R has specific springs meant for that application and different springs meant for the 6-cylinder non-M model, which is what that is. When you're ordering these parts, make very sure you are ordering the exact part that you need. These ones, meant for the 6-cylinder non-M BMWs, there's the part number, right? 29754-2. If you take that -2 off, 29754 is actually the part number for the 1.9 liter Z3 springs. Which means that if you get the wrong part in, that might be a bit of a disappointment. Something that doesn't really help this matter is that when you look on the spring, fortunately it does have part numbers. It's got the 29754, then it's got HA. I don't know what that means, but it's not -2, so you can look at this part number and start to wonder, did I get the right springs? Shouldn't this be 29754-2? Well, actually these are the correct springs, it's the correct box, so I think we're good here. I'll have a follow-up video if that turns out not to be the case. So, you know, just make sure that when the box comes in, that you take a good look at the springs, you take a note of the part number, and you take a look at the part number on the side of the box so that you know you have the right springs. So yeah, I got these, of all places, off of Amazon. And I'm pretty loyal to FCP Euro. I like their lifetime warranty program. I also sometimes buy from Turner Motorsports, or ECS Tuning. And sometimes from Rock Auto, too. Rock Auto has some pretty good deals depending on, you know, the type of thing you're trying to replace on your car. First time I bought an auto part, or any kind of auto parts, from Amazon, and I was really kind of skeptical to begin with, because Amazon, of course, isn't really known for that, right? But they're actually trying to get into the parts game, and I think, as part of that program, and to, you know, bring people into the fold, get people to start buying Amazon car parts, I think they've actually reduced prices on some of their items that they sell online. So these, for instance, I bought these for about $175. The spring set was about $175 on Amazon. The lowest I could find anywhere else online, the lowest I could find was about $250. So that's a big savings, and that's why I actually jumped to get this, because Amazon told me there was only so many left, right? But, you know, at $175, I would go ahead and bite this. If it was $250, I have to think really hard, because it's kind of really low on the list of things I wanted to accomplish on this car, because, of course, the coolant system is the big thing. If the coolant system blows, you could take your head gasket with it, you could take the head of your car with it, a whole bunch of expensive problems. Springs, lower on the list, because, again, everything was replaced and new on the Z3. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go, how the ride is going to turn out. I'm pretty optimistic, though, because I think we are on track with the right setup by using the Koni Sport shocks and struts. So, yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. So that's it for unboxing. I think now I'm going to start tearing down that coolant system and taking off the intake manifold to just dig right into that. So I want to thank you for joining me, and we'll see you down the road.